This session is going to be amazing. So welcome to Optimizing Existing Channels. And we're here today with Cody Barbeau, CEO of Trust and Will, Angela Voss, CEO Marketing Architects. And the title of this session is How Digital-First Brands Win with Linear and Streaming TV. I'm really interested in this, so you guys take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today. Happy afternoon. I hope everyone's enjoying the show. We are here to talk a little television. As she had mentioned, I've got Cody with me.
Hey.
Cody got off a flight about 37 minutes ago at LaGuardia, so he's probably sweating, and I just can't believe you made it.
We're here.
3-hour delay out of Dallas.
We're here. It was a scene out of a movie. I was literally in a rental car driving through the city like a taxi cab driver, trying not to hit people or people on bikes.
Totally. So glad you're here. Anyone heard that TV's dead? I don't know why we're here. Thanks for rushing to talk about a dead TV channel. This is what we're doing today. TV is not dead. It's playing a bigger role in our lives than it ever has. Definitely has changed. It looks a lot different. We're not just consuming at home. We're consuming in taxi cabs, on the bus, on the go, sports, live entertainment, whatever it might be. But it's actually growing. Obviously, CTV commanding a larger percent of that overall time spent watching video for adults 18 plus. A lot of times people think just for the older audiences, maybe it's not true. So collectively over 5 hours for adults 18 plus. I care a lot if TV is alive or dead. I lead an agency that operates only in Linear and CTV. Just a little bit of background, Marketing Architects is what we call a full service, all-inclusive TV agency. We've been in business for 28 years, working across a wide range of industries. We are known for disrupting kind of traditional practices that make television expensive, slow-moving, and ultimately not able to grow brands in the way they want. And today we're going to be talking through a bit of just consultative advice on how to make TV work for your brand. Cody's going to share the Trust and Will story, so it's going to be great. Let's go straight into the meat. This first tip is around measurement. Some people think that TV still can't be measured. It's just a top-of-funnel channel out there to push impressions and gain awareness. That's not the case. The other thing we hear quite often is, I'm actually on TV, and my in-platform ROAS looks so good, I should essentially turn all other marketing off and only do that from now until the end of time. So this first tip is never, ever rely on a single measurement model. We conducted some research with a panel of marketers, over 100 last year, and asked them, what do you think is the hardest marketing channel to measure? Linear comes in at number 1, CTV at number 3, and these are not contests that we're trying to win, but this is where we're at. They are hard channels to measure. Attribution is complicated. It's a very fragmented space. The digital ecosystem complicates that, and measuring both brand and sales impact, of course, adds to that complexity. And so how do we think about it? We think about TV as a full funnel channel. We think about it as well in the long and the short. And I'm hopeful that some ears perk up when I say the long and the short. It comes from a published document from the IPA, the long and the short of it, work by Les Binet and Peter Field that talks about and shares this empirical research around marketing in general, but TV specifically, and its ability to drive both short-term sales impact and long-term brand demand generation. When we think about, practically speaking, how do we measure television, always think multiple attribution models over a single model. Frankly, more ways than I could put on a single slide. When I say multiple, probably more than 10 per campaign, different models in place to ensure that you can triangulate the performance of TV. This is everything from micro-attribution, spot-based analysis, on-site surveys, media mix modeling, economic metric modeling, pulse testing, geo-market holdouts, cross-channel effects. All of these models are being triangulated to gain a really holistic view of what we think TV is performing. We like to say all models are wrong, but some are very useful. One model in isolation is not very useful to brands. Moving to tip number 2, say goodbye to traditional creative formulas. TV creative practices have remained the same over many years, and our viewing habits and our ability to be distracted in that type of environment has evolved and shifted a lot. TV bears little resemblance to that of even a decade ago. And so capturing and maintaining that attention from your viewers and your consumers is now more challenging than it's ever been. Creative has the largest gap between its perceived value by marketers and its actual ability to drive sales. A 2023 study showed creative's effect is 2.5 times greater than marketers estimate, and Nielsen attributes 37% of sales lift to creative alone. And so investing in strong creative is super important, super essential to getting TV right. But far too often in our industry, unfortunately, we're not getting it right. Some research by System 1 and the IPA shows that US brands would need to spend $189 billion more to make those dull ads as effective as the most effective ads. $189 billion. It's insane. It's insane. So getting it right is super important. Nearly half of US TV ads are evoking a feeling of neutrality. We're leaving people with nothing. Good, bad, indifferent, just nothing. And that's the place you don't want to be. So what does this mean? There's a big opportunity for those that can capture that attention and keep it. We believe TV creative has two jobs, back to the long and the short of it. Has the job of driving those immediate sales, but then also we need to be memorable and we need to use emotion to be memorable. So evoke emotion, especially those of happiness, nostalgia, surprise, to help drive that long-term brand impact and also those immediate sales. Even negative emotions can boost short-term sales more effectively than just speeds and feeds messaging of your product or service. Effective TV creative tells human stories. We use relatable characters. We use conflict, just like a movie. It's just in a 30-second or 15-second format, a strong narrative. And I'm often asked, what do you think the most important element of creative is? That would be your audio strategy. If there was one most important element to get right, your audio strategy. 60% of TV commercials are heard but not seen. What are we doing? Grabbing a drink, grabbing a snack, chasing a child, scrolling social media. We're doing something else we're not watching, but we're still listening. You paid for that impression, ensure that you get its value. So strong voiceovers, music, sound design, et cetera, all really important for driving that response and ensuring clarity without the visual component. Capturing attention is just part of the challenge, of course. We also need to be memorable so that when a consumer comes to market, if they're not there today, you're there for them, at the top of their mind. Distinctive assets are really important. They're your secret weapon. Those are your colors, characters, flow, etc. The sounds that are used. Ensure that those are really consistently used in your creative messaging. Freeze your ad. Show it to a neighbor, a friend. Do they know it's your brand? If they don't, take a look at it again. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups does an amazing job of this. Like once you clue into it, start watching ads. Freeze the frame. Hit pause. Do you know who it is? It's a really important element throughout all of your marketing, not just television. But these elements create mental shortcuts and just link creative to your brand so that you can be more memorable for them. I'm going to hand to Cody, tell the Trust and Will story in TV.
All right. How's everyone doing? Thank you for coming to our session today. Before we jump in, I'm just curious, I can see most of you in the room. Does anybody have an estate plan in this room? If you've set up an estate plan with an attorney or with another online provider, see a few hands. And then just curious, who's seen our ads? Have you seen Trust and Will ads before? A few hands? Awesome, great. Well, 8 years ago, I didn't know anything about estate planning, and neither did my business partner, but now we're both married, we've got little kids, aging parents, and the reality is most Americans don't have estate plans, so you're not alone in this room if you haven't set one up, but most people know they should do it. They don't know when to do it or how to go about doing it, but usually start thinking about it when you have kids or buy your first house, or eventually you see your parents age, or something scary comes up, like a health scare or a divorce, something like that. But when we thought of the brand opportunity for Trust and Will, we'd done a couple commercials, I would say locally in-house for cheap, because we were a cheap startup with no money at the time. But we had started testing on streaming with limited budget. I think our initial budget was like $10K a month. And we started to get pings from the network, hey, so I saw your ad on the game last night or on the news, but it wasn't at the scale that we knew the brand had from a potential perspective. So even though we had belief in TV, we weren't experts in TV, and we're really fortunate to connect with the marketing and architects team and come up with a content series around a character that kind of takes a playful approach to all these life events, naming guardians for your kids, leaving money to a charity, all the way through dropping off the kids with grandma and grandpa for the first time so you can go on a trip with just you and your spouse. And we felt this is a really great way to engage the triggering events. There's over 27 million triggering events that happen, even a move in this country every year. And we thought a playful approach to bring lightheartedness to a much more uncomfortable topic would be a great way to do that. So I think we've got a couple samples that we're going to show you. But really, we knew that we wanted to build trust in the brand. I think taking something that has historically been offline with an attorney, how do you build trust and do that online? The way that maybe like an Intuit TurboTax has built trust for 45 million Americans who choose to file their taxes online. There hadn't been a brand in the category that had done that. Most estate plans are still done offline with attorneys if people do choose to do it. So we knew that TV would be mission critical for our success. So we came up with this great concept called Make It Count. I'm so happy we found Eddie.
Totally.
Had you worked with him before?
No.
You hadn't worked
This
with him
was
before.
first. Yep.
So, I think as an aspiring entrepreneur, you want, especially if you're going to build a consumer brand, you want your like Jake from State Farm. You want your character, your Flo from Progressive. Not that we're an insurance company, but they're so memorable and leave such a great impression on the consumer. You don't even have to see it. You could hear the ad and you kind of can associate with the brand. And that was kind of our goal in building Eddie into this character. It's kind of your sharper, a little bit older, smarter friend. They've got just a little bit more ahead of life in you, and they kind of teach you the things that you may assume, but with expert level guidance and making it friendly and approachable. So we have this amazing concept called Make It Count that we've done into a bunch of different creative. This one is this tender moment of this dad who inherited this car from his father, and now he's talking to his son in the garage. Son, one day I'm going to leave it to you. But without an estate plan, it doesn't count. So we've got a bunch of examples like this in our content series. And the response has been amazing. I mean, just within months of launching the new campaigns, we saw 30% increase in response rates, 75% increase in unaided awareness, and a significant increase, almost 100%, in purchase intent. And I wanted to show you one of these concepts. So hit play. Is audio's good to go?
Should be good.
Grandpa and I used to work on this together. I've never seen a man love something so much. And when I'm gone, I want you to have it. Seriously?
Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. For as low as $199, you can quickly create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. 10 and 2, boss. Start your will at trustandwill.com and make it count.
Love it. These are super fun, and we've done a bunch of them now, and it never gets old. Like every time I get a text from the network or I meet somebody at a conference, they've seen one of the ads. It's such a huge validation. I think we had like 8.5 billion impressions last year, was the number we had pulled, and we wanted to kind of take this character. Eddie's he's so likable. He's such a likable person. And he's been so fun to work with, and I know we're going to do more with him. But look, this is now award-winning creative. The performance is meeting our expectations. Now that we're 8 years in on the business, and TV is one of our biggest drivers of awareness, but also traffic. We've got over 1 million people that have signed up with Trust and Will in all 50 states. It's incredible to think 8 years ago, this is a conversation with my business partner over coffee, just thinking about our own lives, and now we have a brand that, with the help of marketing architects, along with all the amazing work that our team does, is becoming the household name in a category that's never had a household name. Like, this is the power of TV, and why we're so excited to share this with you as a success story, because it can work. It does work. It's working for us. Our business is doing tens of millions of revenue now, a lot of that driven through TV. So what we saw in the last year alone is 286% increase in unaided awareness year over year, and over 230% increase in aided awareness year over year. We are now the leading brand in the estate planning category in aided awareness, and in unaided awareness, we're getting there. We're taking market share from I don't know a brand in estate planning, which we're continuing to chip away at. So when we look at the opportunity of combining, is this where I hand it back to you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where I hand it back. I'm not the TV expert, but the crazy entrepreneur. But when we thought of this 8 years ago, we wanted to build a brand that was core to who we were, to create as many eyeballs on our brand as possible, just to get people to think about this, something that's so uncomfortable. How do you get people to do it? That's the hardest part. It's procrastination is our biggest competition. So if we can be everywhere that the consumer is, which TV is a huge part of that, along with working with 200 marquee financial institutions, big banks, credit unions, fintech companies, and insurance companies, it creates a ton of brand trust. And right before we popped on stage, we're hopefully working towards a Super Bowl spot. And hopefully that's where you all see us eventually. But that'll be maybe in 2026, so stay tuned. But thanks for letting me share my story. And if you need an estate plan, come talk to me after. I'll help you out.
It's been such a fun collaboration, and credit to the collective team, just taking a topic that is hard, right?
Yeah.
Things that you don't want to talk about, sometimes vulnerabilities are exposed, and
Yeah.
kind of creating that lightness to it.
Do you remember the concept I pitched you and the team most recently that made everybody uncomfortable?
Share it.
I fly in an airplane like every week. Anyone not like turbulence? Anyone in the room?
Yep.
You start praying, even if you're not faithful. You start texting family, even if you haven't talked to them in a while. Tighten the seatbelt and
Yeah.
hold on a little bit tighter. For all the turbulence I've experienced, it's still not fun. But I'm like in significant turbulence flying from Vegas to SFO, and I'm messaging the marketing architects team on Slack. I'm like, all right, I got our next concept. Crazy turbulence. Eddie's the pilot. People take a barf bag and start writing down. I leave everything to my neighbor's Bill and my nephew Tom, and like start just filling it out on the barf bag, and he pops up on the screens behind all the airplane ads. So that's hopefully not too uncomfortable, but a little edgy, which we like to do.
Yep.
But it brings attention to the uncomfortable side. Travel's a big factor in people wanting to set this up.
Totally.
Yeah.
So super fun.
Yep.
Moving into our last tip, combine linear and CTV for better results. When you think about how viewers are consuming television today, these lines are blurring. 74% of households watching both linear and streaming television, 13% watching linear only, and 11% watching streaming only. That surprises a lot of people that aren't familiar with some of that data. And so viewers are seeking content, whether it's sports, it's entertainment, they don't particularly care how it's being delivered. And that's important when we think about the strategy from a placement perspective. And yet, often we see brands that are siloing these two strategies, linear and streaming. Maybe they're just focusing on one format. They've, in legacy practice, just been using linear TV. They just haven't gotten over to the CTV side yet. Or the CTV side is the buzzy new channel, and that's where they step in first. Oftentimes, teams are managing them separately. You've got an offline team and a digital team, and this fragmented approach really misses the clear advantages of a unified TV strategy. And so there are clear benefits to doing the opposite. 73% of marketers agree, these are folks that are already using television, that linear and CTV work better together. So it's really important. And there's a few reasons for this. If you just think about that, consistent creative across linear and CTV really strengthens that brand recognition. It ensures that when someone sees your brand, they're not seeing two different experiences. As consumers, we're not thinking about brands all the time the way we do as marketers. And so maybe a linear impression shows up and is delivered. Linear typically is a little lower priced on the CPM side. You're able to generate that website visit, but maybe that website visitor isn't quite ready to purchase. We use CTV to retarget amongst a plethora of other strategies and eventually win that new customer. So the channel's not dead.
No.
Good news. 78% TV's effectiveness will hold steady or grow in the years to come. Keep that one in your pocket. The less people we have using TV, the more efficient it will be. So let's just keep that here and make the channel with a strategic approach really powerful for brands. Recapping our tips here, never rely on that single measurement model. Beware that in-platform ROAS can be kind of a sneaky one for brands. Say goodbye to traditional creative formulas. We need to be thinking about story. Creative does both jobs, drives immediate sales, to Cody's point, as well as drives that long-term brand awareness and ultimately ensures that your brand comes to mind when someone's ready to put together that will and that trust. And then combine linear and CTV for better results most effectively. If you're interested in more tips and advice, we have a report that we would love to share with you. You can scan the code on screen. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.